There you go, Beth. And here we go, live coming at you from North Carolina. Beth Howell, everybody. Let me pull up her Twiddly feed, her Twitter feed, and then you can follow her if you don't already. Just put myself to mute instead of Beth on. And aloha, Beth.
Hey,
Welcome
Chris.
to London.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm good.
What's
I'm good.
going on the east coast of the world? How are you feeling?
Good. Good. Feel good.
That's
No
great. Why,
complaints.
that's such good news. Wow. It's amazing what a little bit of time can do.
Yeah.
So you're smooth sailing for the rest of the summer, right? You're not, I mean, for good, right? Everything's better?
Yes, I have a checkup next week, and we'll see how that goes. And by the 1st of July, I should know just about where I stand and what I can do. So,
Wow, that's exciting. Get through all that. Congratulations.
thank you. I'm
Just
glad
gotta,
to have it behind me.
yeah, well, you know what they say, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, and I'm sure you're much stronger for getting through it all. All right, so what do you think of retail sales?
Well, I was looking at these numbers yesterday, and my personal opinion on it. We've had 5 months of continuous misses. We have not been able to get over zero point 0.7 on retail sales, 0.7%. The 1.1% that they're expecting for retail, we haven't hit since April of last year, like I had stated earlier. If you look at the chart, I mean, that you've got up there, you can see that the last time we had a couple of consecutive down months, like recently in 2005, that was 2009 when we were headed into a recession. So, yeah.
Yep, exactly.
So, but then you had that one blip right after those down months that hit close to 1.1%. So we've come close, but every time that we come close, you can see that they tend to stay lower than that, which is why I'm also expecting, if we do hit the 1% number this time, I would totally chalk it up to seasonal activity. People getting, I mean, you know, you have, spring has already hit, but now that summer's here, it's possible that people are out buying stuff for their yards or, you know, their pool, different things like that. They may be spending on a seasonal type.
I hear car sales are doing pretty good.
Don't even get me started on car sales. I think there's an auto
Scam?
bubble. No,
Oh, really?
I think there's an auto bubble in the making.
Yeah, that's what I
When
was
you start
hearing.
financing a car for 7 to 8 years,
Wow, yeah, that's they don't even, they're, what,
it's
3 years
not good.
and they're gone, yeah. Oof.
And around here, I mean, I live in a rather small town at the moment, and when the car dealerships here are selling, and I mean like almost the Toyota, Hyundai, Honda, when they're averaging 100 car sales a month per dealership,
Wow, that's crazy.
that is a lot of cars. People are they're continuously upgrading their cars. Their payments are getting higher. The previous car they're trading in is carrying more debt, negative equity into the loan. It's waiting to pop. They cannot sustain those type of numbers in the car sales.
Wow. So what's going on with those stocks? Let's see real quick. I mean, we can look over at different. That's the nice thing about the light waves. You can just flip right over without having to do much. I mean, look at Toyota, I guess first, or what's Toyota? What's Toyota? I forget what that is. It's TM, right?
TM.
Yeah. So I thought I just hit the wrong. It's been so long.
Toyota does well. I mean, they are top sales. And I will say the Toyota dealership I was at, they would sell. I mean, the main one. All of the Toyota dealerships that I had dealt with, 100 cars a month was nothing. You had to be in an extremely small town, and Toyota doesn't even bother putting them in a really, really tiny small town.
Right.
But 100 car sales a month, I mean, that's for that one dealership. That's a lot of cars in that area.
How
and I know
far is the next dealership? How far is away is the next dealership?
it
Oops, I didn't want
in
this.
this area you can be to 4 or 5 different dealerships within a 30-minute drive.
Wow, that's close. Really close.
So I mean, you're considering the population in those areas, and they're still getting those kind of sales. And but it's not just that one dealership. I mean, other car manufacturers. I mean, GM has been selling cars like crazy, and they're getting the same kind of results. So it's I really think there's an auto bubble booming. I mean, in the making.
Maybe after the end of summer, huh?
Well, I won't. I don't want to put a time scale on it, but I've been reading several articles where they've been talking about how they are extending the credit lines so that people can afford more expensive cars, which they shouldn't probably be buying. I mean, they're having car payments. The average car payment in the United States is like $540 a month, and
And
depending on
go ahead. I'm sorry.
what
No,
you're
go
gonna
ahead.
say.
Roy was also talking about school student loans, but go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
Well, I mean, I was just saying that with an average car payment at $540 a month, there are some places where house payments are $500 a month. So
Wow,
it,
that's
it
crazy. Yeah,
it
that's
just
a lot.
depends on what you're talking about. And in relation, I mean, and these are $540 a month for a Toyota. I'm not talking about BMW. I'm not talking about Mercedes or
Right.
Audi or anything like that. Um, I mean, I had a friend that got an Audi not too long ago. Their car payment $700 a month, and they had put like $10,000 down on the vehicle, but the car payment was still $700 a month. So, with
Yikes.
the type of people that can afford that are people that are making $100,000 a year. The average medium income in America is like $48,000. So it doesn't make sense how they are getting these loans. They're extending the loans way too far out so that people can afford it. But when they go to trade the car in, it's just flipping it over and putting more people in debt. And in more debt because the car doesn't have the equity when they're flipping them and trading them in.
Well, it
So,
sounds we're just like one blurb away from, everything collapsing. I mean, all we need is just somebody to come out and bring this to light. Somebody.
well, and they're
Um,
selling the car loans off to other businesses the exact same way they did house loans and mortgages. So
yeah,
when you look at
they're
the,
not very
the
creative, are
backdrop,
they?
it's like, do you
Yeah.
never learn? But besides that, I mean, my whole point was for retail. And I think if we do get a better than expected retail, it is going to be seasonally based. I don't think it's going to be an actual number that can be maintained. Because if we've had job growth for an entire year and NPF has been hitting home runs for a while, then it's taking that long just to get close to a 1% retail. I just it's not adding up. The consumer spending to me is not there. And what Roy said about the student loans, people are so far in debt from this previous recession that
Yeah,
it's not,
no,
they
yeah,
can't spend money on anything because all they're doing is paying off credit cards and student loans and the cars that they can't afford.
yeah. No, that's makes a lot of sense. It really does. I mean, and when you look how much people are willing to spend for school. I mean, look here in Hawaii, like I was talking about earlier. I mean, it blows my mind to think that there's a lot of people who spend over $15,000 a year to send their kids to high school. A
Oh yeah.
lot. We're talking about 5 or 6 schools here.
There's an academy here, and kids, they start like in kindergarten, first, second grade, and it's 18,000 for a second grader.
Yeah, we have a Leisure Ardan Academy that's just like that here as well. It's obscene. I know people are spending $1,000 just to send their kids to soccer camp there.
Oh yeah.
So there are the priorities of changing. I mean, when you look at, all you've got to do is look at Coach and look at all the retailers and Abercrombie and all of them, and they're just like cut in half. When the market's doing what it's been doing, It's just rotation to other places. People are sitting there watching their Netflix. There's a lot of cables doing good. Um,
I don't know
big
what it's
ticket
like
items.
in other states, but comparatively speaking, if you go to a mall in eastern North Carolina, and I'm excluding Raleigh, Charlotte, Wilmington, the big places.
Right.
But you go to a mall in any other city, none of those malls facilities on the inside, there are so many closed businesses in there. The
Wow.
the, the malls are pathetic. The the shops can't stay in business.
There's
I
a lot of
mean,
turnover here. I've noticed that. I don't go in the mall often, but when I do, it seems like they're always different, like you say.
yeah, I mean, I know that within an hour's drive of where I live, I can go to every single mall, and at least 20% of the stores within that mall are not even open.
Right. Wow.
So it's
Brutal.
if you go places like that and you look around and you see what people are spending their money on, I mean, even movies, people don't go out to the movies as much. I mean,
Yeah, no, stay
the,
home is really huge. Stay
yeah,
home entertainment is huge. All right, Euro back near support. What are you thinking now? Right on this 112 half.
12.20.
Yeah, 12.20. That's what 112 half. Uh, I'll be all right. What I said 112 half. Yeah, 12.50. You think 12.20 you're gonna play? Is that what you're saying?
I'm looking for at least 12.20.
There we
I
go. We
think
just
it's
we just poked through the half just now. Gosh, I can't believe I dumped this off. Hans, you should have slapped me. Why didn't you reach out and hit me? You could have. EJ, what's my EJ doing? Yeah. So, what are you thinking the rest of the summer? Are we going to stay with high volatility? Is this going to be different than last year, or do you think it's going to fizzle out?
well, I think the Greece situation definitely adds to the volatility. You have, everybody thought that maybe by June 5th, some of this stuff would not be around. Something may would have possibly gotten done. The Greece situation isn't going away anytime soon. I mean, whatever's going on the end of June, it's still not going to be a final product. I've read a lot of articles. This thing's going to continue for a while. It could continue into 2016.
This is what they want, though, right?
Oh yeah, the longer it draws out, I mean,
The less
the
they got to deal with
yeah, yeah.
it. The reality of it, right?
Anytime something bad is lingering, the natural thing is to draw it out as long as possible, so you don't have to, deal with the ramifications of it. And I want to say that yesterday on Blake's show, someone mentioned that someone from Greece, or I believe, was meeting with the guy in Argentina, and Argentina was someone that had defaulted.
Yeah.
So, the logical thought there was, well, if Greece is meeting with Argentina, are they trying to figure out a way not to default or what to do when they default?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's I don't see a way out of it. I mean, they can't even take care of with the minimal requirements, and it's just, you know, uh, they had to change things fundamentally and strongly, and the way they did it with the elections, I don't think, that was very productive at all. But maybe default is the answer for them. It's crazy. What's really crazy though is all this pressure Draghi's putting on the euro and all the uncertainty, but it's still going up. At least it was.
Well, I got to give props to Maria. She put out a tweet yesterday of a chart, and it gave a bullish flag. I mean, not a bullish flag, a bearish flag, where you can see the euro is retracing, and it's actually in a bullish channel from that 10, just under 105 low, and it's been in a bullish channel going up on the daily. So
Yeah,
if it continues to flag, I mean, but you've also got that trend line that Blake has been showing that's coming in across the top that forms more of a triangle. So you have this channel coming up from the bottom, but you also have that triangle forming. It's getting to that point now where the triangle comes into play, and that's where Blake had said that it would probably get rejected, which so far it has. But that channel from the bottom could still come into play. It bounce off the lower support of that channel and go higher. So there's a lot of there's a lot of aspects going on with the euro. So when you look at it, you have to take that bullish intention that could be forming some type of bear flag. I mean, it can continue to go higher before it goes lower. I believe on like the monthly time frame, we are just at a 23% retracement on such a very large drop. So,
So you're just thinking they're just squeezing out late shorts then?
well,
That's
if
it?
70% of people are short versus 30% long, there's a lot of shorts to still get squeezed.
No, no, that makes sense.
So, I mean, it's very possible. And for me, when I look at the markets, you do have to have some kind of fundamental analysis, but at the same time, in a day-to-day basis, the long-term outcome isn't what you trade day by day. Day by day, you get rumors. You trade the technicals, but the long-term fundamentals, um, that's long-term. So when you're looking at it from long-term, and we have all this uncertainty, it could easily be putting in a bear flag to continue lower once we get some kind of directional
Right.
implication of what's actually going to happen.
Well, when you look at a daily, you see the 200 just lurking up there. It would be a nice flush to touch that. And then that would be a great entry, I think, a wick through there, maybe on the way back down through it if that's the case. And then at least if it held, 115, you'd have a great trade from there. But I mean, I guess the problem is when you look at a weekly, it's just not a good long or a good short because we've gone so far, like you said, but we need to retrace, and we have retraced some already now. So, I think it's just patience. When there may even be an ABC measured move correction up near 120, before it's over.
There's a lot of we could be's. I mean, there's no, um, you know, for a while when Blake does his bias in the morning, we're in a range. It hasn't changed. Nothing has changed. When you're looking at the overall picture, you just have to play that range. And until something happens to break that range, you you, you just play the in betweens. And
Exactly.
that's what I've been doing. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's the easiest thing to do. For me, I'm not going to be predicting the euro to 115, 118, 120 or whatever. That's above
Yeah.
my pay grade. That's for a banker. My job is to trade it. I mean,
Yeah.
it would
No,
be
I hear
nice
you.
to say I think it's going to go here and I actually do it, and that makes me sound like I'm so smart. But you can't predict
You would be
what's going to
guessing. I know
happen.
what you're saying. That's just
Yeah,
total guessing. It's ridiculous.
I mean, you have all
Yeah.
these analysts. They constantly predict stuff, and you see how often they get it wrong or right. So, I mean, it's hard to.
This is Maria, right?
Yes, yes, that's for
Because
sure.
Malcolm wants to know what Maria's handle is. Glasswing FX. I couldn't remember, but definitely she's on it. And if you're wondering how to get to Beth, you just have to go to Regal Trader and Regal FX. I'm sorry, and then that's Beth. There she is. Nice. So follow these two ladies, and you'll be happy. They've been really on it in the scalping world. So what did you do yesterday with Polly? Was there any trades or anything? Everybody was super quiet when I was asking all questions. I guess we had that big move before the show, so it was kind of quiet, huh?
Um, I
So,
was going against Paulie, so I didn't really. I was tweeting what I was doing.
oh, that's
um,
cool. He was
he,
in
he was
trades though.
he was warning not to chase the longs, but I was long. So, but from what his analysis was, he was giving from the 2 hour frame, he was giving an overall outlook of where he thought it was going to come in the long term picture. I was
It
actually
did peel
scalping.
back though to the moving averages. You see the 30 minute. I guess this was during the show where it was going,
Yeah,
and you got it all the way up to the 1380, huh?
yeah, I made about 78 pips off of it during that move.
Sweet. Nice. This is pretty typical, folks. This 80-40 type pip moves. I mean, you're not going to. A lot of times, you're not going to get in the 90s like in the olden days. I mean, I remember that used to be my spot anywhere in the 90s, but it seems like it's more of an 80s thing now, low 80s. A lot of times we see the reversal. All right, good stuff. And
That's
Michael
all I had.
says she was long. He says he was long cable as well. Joe, I'm glad you enjoy both the ladies. I mean, what's not to enjoy? They're unbelievable, aren't they? She says great follows. He says great follows always. Yep, that's right, Joe. All right. Um, so you went back long. Michael's saying he's talking about going long cable. It's been tough. It's been all over the place. I thought you were talking about a longer term bias for lower, but it's been really hard to stay on one side lately. So if that's your mantra, it's best to just kind of sit on the sideline, right? Wouldn't you say?
For me,
No, I'm just saying for people who don't like this short term and fast,
absolutely.
instead of just trying to ride things out or hope, it becomes a hoping thing when um, things get real whippy. Yeah,
Yeah.
look at it back above 154. That was nice.
I mean, there was times yesterday I was sitting out. I mean, you have to know when to get in and when not to, because if you can catch a couple of good trades and make a little bit of money off of it, there's nothing wrong with preserving. And I've heard from a couple of traders, they act like they think time is money, and that they always have to be in a trade.
Well, you know why that is, don't you? It's pretty simple why that is. Because they have super high lifestyles, and if they don't keep up with their spending at the rate that it flows out, then they go underwater,
Right,
right?
right. But the fact of the matter is when when you have those good days where it's very active and you have direction and you're making good money, the other days where you're sitting there, you're getting paid to wait. That is part of the job.
Yeah, I
So,
agree. I couldn't agree more.
I mean, time is money, but you don't want to throw good money at bad time.
No, I think timing, patience. If you don't have that, then you end up just being a break-even trader. You end up just constantly giving back your winners. Um, I can say from experience, I was stuck at break-even for quite some time until I finally realized, hey, I'm forcing this too much, and I got to just stop doing that when I was doing it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times when it's not a good long or a good short, and you have to be able to recognize that in the bigger picture, and then just say, hey, this doesn't make sense either way, unless you play like the box, like you said, which you can almost always find something that makes sense in that manner at the right time. All right, Beth, we've been on for a little bit. Boy, it's really awesome to have you on like this. Just you put so much into it, and I try to take every little word you say to heart because I know that you're not just putting stuff out there, and that's the great thing that we're so fortunate to have you to do. It's hard for me, having to do this show every night, 2 hours. I mean, face it, there's just some nights there's just not much to talk about, and to try to fabricate things would be silly.
Yeah.
But
Well, my final thought on retail, just to make sure everyone understood what I was saying. I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I'm not saying it's going to be good. I'm saying that if you're close to your break even or whatever on a trade, it may be a smart thing to get out, because we could easily have a good number because of the seasonality of it and the fact that we have had 5 bad consecutive months. So a good number, we're due a good number. But will it surprise me? Yes. I will be surprised if we actually hit 1%. But that's I can't say it's not going to hit it, because NFP totally surprised me. But at the same time, I think NFP, and while we hit 280, was during the whole winter, a lot of those businesses that were trying to get open were unable to get open, and now they have finally opened. I know we had 3 new stores in this area open. So I think a lot of those stores got open, the jobs got open, and that was some of the something to be attributed as far as NFP. I think that's why it was so high.
Due to bad weather over the winter, pushing things out.
Yeah, I think a lot of the businesses that had been started getting built, I know three of them for a couple of months got pushed back here, and they have just finally opened to where those jobs were actually considered.
We had a Target here in Kailua, which was huge to be put in our town, and it took them. They were so far behind, it wasn't even funny. They
Yeah,
finally did open, and the place is packed. So I noticed, we missed last month of quarter. What was the reaction? I mean, was it terrible, or the price kind of absorb it? I'm just curious
I'm
because
pretty sure euro went up and the dollar went down if we missed on
right,
retail.
yeah,
I mean,
that's
because
what to expect.
yeah,
All right, so we're going into it. Let me pull up the dollar now, real quick. Dollar's just in a really weird place, if you ask me. Um, we're below that 96 and a quarter. We're above, that's this little. Let me go down to a smaller time here. We're kind of sitting right on the apex of this triangle again, which we've faked through it and held. It's going to be all about this area, and then with the cap being the 96 and a quarter zone, which kind of got violated, but really didn't because it just kind of faked through it. You can see where it tested it here again and failed. This area in here. You could easily see measure move lower. I mean, how are your thoughts on that? Do you think that the dollar weakness will just continue to dribble here?
I have a channel on the dollar on the daily. Um, I think we could easily retest that 93.30 area. It could be bouncing for higher off of this area, and I'm starting to hear everyone start calling for interest rates going up as soon as July now. Like we had the good NFP and whatever and stuff going on in Greece. The interest rate thing is getting thrown out. September's on the table now. October's on the table. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, we had a good NFP, but most of the other numbers have still been in line, barely hitting. It's the recovery is not it's not this huge thing, and I know that I'm not disagreeing with Paulie as far as what he says as far as the job growth will bring increased earnings and things like that. That it does help, but this time of year, I would have to see it continue. Um, because if you take last year into consideration and this year, it's been two very hard winters. And we always bounce back a little bit in Q2. But Q3 and Q4 last year left a little bit to be desired. I mean, they weren't outstanding, but they were okay. So, I mean, I think the Fed is definitely data dependent. I think they feel like they need to raise interest rates because, you know, they've waited so long now. They should, but at the same time, they feel stuck. So I'm not really in the camp of when rates are getting raised. It's when they raise rates, they raise rates.
Yeah,
It
I know
doesn't
that.
it doesn't affect my daily trading. But I mean, I like to read the articles and see what's being said, but it doesn't affect my trading. Not unless it's starting to actually happen.
Right.
So I follow what the numbers are doing. I try to pay attention to, you know, are we actually recovering? I feel it's a little stagnant, but
Well, one thing I retweeted, which I thought was kind of interesting, was um, here it is here. El Arian talking about Korea, New Zealand dropping rates, and Fed still on course to hike rates this year. That seemed kind of interesting. The whole world is just going against what we're doing, and I mean, you know, it just
I,
seems it just seems surreal in my mind. And here you see the dollar. If you drew the trend line, just like I kind of drawn with my arrow here, it looks like we've come up, and we retested, and we failed. And in my book, we could have more to come from that.
until the BOE. I think England and the U.S. are definitely going through some of the same stuff as far as trying to figure out what to do and when to do it. If you look at global GDP, it has definitely slowed. I don't see how when you take the overall global economic state, you know, maybe it would have been good for just our country at some point in time, but it is kind of hard to see how, when everyone else is still trying to figure out, are we still, dropping rates and things of that nature. For us to go in and raise rates, it's kind of, um,
Surreal.
yeah, I really have no word for it. Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, and but I could be
You know what it
totally.
is to me is we're on course to just doing what happened in the 30s, just later. Where we finally, make another low again. I mean, what did happen in the 30s? Five, six lows? Was it that many that they made? Where they retested lows in the markets?
There was, yeah. I mean, there was a long period. I mean, it took a lot of time to get past it. Um, we're in a position where we should grow back faster, but the thing that's killing us is the whole. Um, I think back then it was a lot easier for people to maintain a lifestyle.
Yes,
There
yes,
was
that's a
less
good
of
point.
give me more, give me more. And
Yeah, people were
today,
much more self-sufficient back then. No, there's without a doubt, people were much
and
more less dependent.
I think today there's a lot more spending on things that it wasn't involved back then.
Well, people are
So
spending money they don't have. That's not
that's
theirs.
yeah,
That's the bottom line. Is it, and that's very reckless. And so when you have that environment where that has to happen for things to work out, it was eventually, there's the music stops. It has to. And I only think it's healthy too. I think that the people that do the right thing deserve to be rewarded, not the people that do the wrong thing. And that's what we've been doing ever since the banking crisis. And you know what it might take, Beth? It may take an election, you know? And I can't imagine anybody, Democratic or Republican, changing, but, can you imagine if a guy like Bernie Sanders got footing and got elected?
no
he,
comment.
he's dying to break up the banks. That's like he's just salivating to do that.
That's one thing I will not talk about is politics.
Well, I'd love to see an independent win. It would just really stir the pot hard. And after Obama got elected, anything's possible. I'm sure, Hillary Clinton would probably have him killed if he came close. Anyway, enough of that, like you said. Nick says, anybody shorting the Canadian up against 123? And let's see real quick. I'm having trouble with my desktop pro charts, so we'll go to the light wave, and we might as well just keep Beth with us here for the last couple minutes. Where is my dollar Canadian? I
What
love
time
trading.
frame?
What time frame are you looking at, Nick? Oh gosh, almost have it. Nick plays in bigger time, I know for a fact. He likes to swing trade, but here a 30-minute, we're right up against resistance. I like the look of this chart. Let's go out and bigger. Eh, 4 days down in a row. It's kind of hard to initiate for me. I'd like to see it move back to 124. That would be interesting. But CAD is so crude dependent, and it really has kind of fallen out of step with crude. So this has been a lot trickier. What do you think? Have you traded this lately, Beth?
Um, I the CAD's not one of my favorites. I don't trade it on a daily basis at all. But I would say based on the technical aspect of it, and if you look at the Dixie, where it's located at right now, it's in a turning point to where you could either go lower or higher. Um, it is at resistance, maybe a good spot to short it. Um, I would just watch that 120, the 120, the 2306. Is that where I'm at? 2306.
Right
Yeah,
up against
it's
that.
that yeah, the 12310. I would wait for maybe a break of that and a pull back down maybe to test it. If it breaks through, it'll keep going higher. But you know, if depending on how big of a stop you want to put there, you could probably go, short it here with a stop at 23.30, maybe, depending on what you were looking for.
Right.
But I think with the time of day it is right now, and the location of where some of these pairs are, they're all at a turning point of sorts.
Hmm.
And we've gone through the 4 a.m. flows. It's been a slow morning. I hate, loathe, despise 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Eastern time every single day. I hate it.
It's too
Um,
much because it's too much cross trading, right?
well, it gets to be really, really choppy. I mean, if you're wanting to scalp like 5, maybe 10 pip scalps,
Ugh,
but
yeah.
at the same time, it's to me, it's not worth my time. I start doing a lot of side work during that time period. Um, if I haven't made my money by like 5:15, and especially yesterday, I've been trying to trade it this week, and this week's been horrible. Um, I mean, there's some moves you can catch, and then you end up giving it back on the next one. So it's
Well, you know
it's a
what it seems
time
like
of
to
day.
me is that there's a lot more traders who are willing to do what you do, start, pre Europe. And with that in mind, by then a lot has been played out, and it's a lot of, like you said, just cross action back and forth. It's amazing, I think that time frame was better a couple of years ago, but now it seems like more and more the traders are wanting to jump and get going much earlier in the day, or at least continue, through. Um,
Yeah, like I say, that time of day for me, I try not to actually initiate trades during that time. So if I had a trade going on this morning, I'm normally in it by the time the show starts, almost,
right.
or shortly thereafter, right before 3. It'll start heading whatever direction it's going to go, and then when it hits 4 a.m., it'll either reverse or continue in that direction. And typically, it starts dying off um, somewhere between, or if it can keep any kind of a minimum, uh, between 5 and 5:30, it starts dying off, and it starts getting choppy and repositioning and profit taking and things like that. And then people are also getting ready for the New York Open and whatever data might be coming out for the U.S.
Right,
So
right. They're kind of waiting because it's so close to data time, whereas where you're entering, you're potentially getting a padding where you may even hold some into the data because you're up so much.
yeah,
That's great. And that's one thing to remember, but she doesn't just scalp folks. She is willing to do position trades when it makes a lot of sense, right?
well, yeah, yeah. For my client accounts, I have position trades on,
Nice.
but at the same time, they're recently they're not long. They're not like super long term. I mean, long term trading right now isn't paying off. It,
Right.
it it takes intraday trading in order to actually um, see any kind of real profit, or else you're just getting whipped back and forth, and you're going to just end up holding and um, for a longer period of time. So.
So now, as you manage other people's money, do you communicate with them what's going on? Hey, we're going to hold off or whatever. How does that work? I'm just curious.
Well,
They just all they want to see is the quarterly results.
basically, that's the way my clients are. My clients are people that have absolutely no interest in trading. They just want
Right.
me to tell them how much money they make.
So whatever you say to them is like foreign or Greek.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I have like one or two people that are slightly interested, but they don't ask me anything that's very intensive. It's basically basic stuff.
Right. Well, that's
So
why they have you because
yeah,
they
I
want.
send them their statement every quarter, and they're like, "Yay!" or
Awesome.
whatever. So
That's great. That's so cool. Well, I'll tell you what, everybody, we're so lucky to be able to talk to Beth. I mean, she went to college for this. She had professors who were floor traders, and she's very meticulous about this stuff. So, there's a lot of reasoning by what she says and what she does. So at least take it to heart. I mean, I don't recommend traders following traders exactly or expecting, if you do follow traders exactly, don't expect them to tell you when to get out when they get in, because they may be already out before it's even chance to even type it in.
I do want to say, if there are new listeners, if you follow other traders on Twitter, um, don't treat it as a signal service,
Yes, yes. Wow,
because
that is
it
profound.
can take a real trader. Some people can't tweet their stuff right away. I mean, I might be able to tweet it out within the minute, maybe two,
It shouldn't be
but
expected for free. If you're
well,
expecting that for free, you're dreaming.
I consider whenever I put trades out, it's a learning experience. I give an entry, I give an exit.
That's
It's
exactly right.
it's your job to go back and see what I did and why I did it.
If you don't
If
do
you
that, then you're missing the whole point, because
Right,
is if you're looking to just follow somebody blindly, then you might as well just give your money to somebody else, because you're much better off in that situation. You're not gonna be able to keep up, and in that sense, always chasing what people are doing, you'll end up getting crushed. I think, at least.
yes,
I don't. I have a trade called the jump in trade, where, say, like, somebody like yourself says, "Hey, I'm going in," and I'll just go in, but then I'll go back and I'll figure out how I want to manage it, what I see, and stuff like that. So,
right.
Ian wants to know what your fees are. You thinking about signing up with Beth, Ian? I'm sure a
my,
lot of
my
times.
email is on my Twitter, so shoot me an
There you
email.
go. Yeah,
I'll
it's all
talk.
personal stuff, and I think everybody is individual too. The size and expectations and all that. You have to all come into a gel together when you do want to get into a managed situation. Um, All right, yeah, isn't that great, Michael? Michael is really thankful for all of your inside perspective of what's going on here in America, because it's a window of what's going on in the East Coast, and it's really interesting to note how she takes a pool of her local area and she works with what she has, and that speaks volumes, because Americans are, they're pretty much creatures of habit. Everybody kind of falls into patterns, as you notice. We really follow fads and things like that. So what's going on in her small town is probably going on in all the rest as well, I would have to think. So thank you so much, Beth, for your insight. I mean, without people like you, we don't have a show. So I mean, it's so nice to have input from you and Michael and everybody else. That's what I always wanted, a collaboration. And I don't expect it, but the more people that can just put a little bit out there, the better the show's going to be, because everyone's got different ideas and points of view, and when somebody else can maybe show you something you're not seeing, it can save you from getting really hurt. So
Absolutely. I love being a part of the space. I love being a part of the community. I've met a lot of awesome Twitter people just through this webinar alone. The people, they're some of the best friends that you can have, you know, in a virtual world. They
yeah.
have your back. They stick up for you,
Yep.
and even even the great traders on Twitter, if they follow, I mean, I follow some of you guys and I get some great ideas from you guys. I
Yeah.
get so busy sometimes, you guys pick up stuff that I haven't actually seen, and then I can go back and look at and reanalyze for myself and say, well, yeah, this is something I want to do. And I retweet some of you guys charts, I do. I love your stuff. It's great. I mean, the collaboration part is part of a team. I mean, we're all here to make money together.
Yeah, I mean, that one thing that did amaze me is the savviness of everybody in the webinar, especially in this time frame. I mean, Blake, he'd been doing this for a long time, and just his nature attracts the type of people you're talking about, and that's what it's all about. You leave your ego at the door, and you try to learn, you try to help each other, you try to share each other's ideas, and I couldn't ask for more. I really couldn't. Again, just like Beth said, thank you all so much. And I really wish I could be more active in the tweeting and in the chat space, because I know when I was doing that, it's a lot of fun. A lot of good laughs during the slow times, a lot of just great people, and some of these people are actually meeting up in person, from what I hear. So really awesome stuff. Hey, everybody, we're going to go because we're way over time. And thank you again so much, Beth. Anytime you want to get mic'd up, and anybody else wants to get mic'd up that's a nice person, that's all that really matters, wants to share some insight, let me know and we can get you going because I don't bite too hard, right, Beth?
Not unless provoked.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Not unless I haven't got much sleep either. All
Yeah.
right. Thanks again and good luck with, remember, we have, what is it, retail sales at 8:30, right? Is that what time it is?
Yes.
So there you go. Be aware and be patient and watch the levels closely and have your levels ready and even have your orders ready in this market. Now, would you have shorts and longs prepared in case of overreactions either way now going to these numbers?
No.
You just have your bias and that's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna have anything triggered because the whiplash and some of this stuff it can trigger it and then go right back against you.
Yeah.
I mean,
So that's the
if
way
I
it
have a
is.
position in and I have a buffer, great. If not, I'll wait and see what the reaction is.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense with the way that what we could get and what they're expecting and what might not happen. So it's a lot of what ifs, and
And
it would
for
turn
the
into more to gambling. Yeah.
for those that do trade the CAD, 11:15 today, I believe. Paula's is supposed to be speaking. So
Yes. Yep. That's right. There you go. Good point. All right, everybody. Have a great day. I'm out. I'm gonna get some rest. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much, Beth.
thank you.
Take care. Aloha. Thank you. Thanks so much. All right, everybody. Beth Howell, hopefully you have her Twitter. Let me put that up.